Hello everypony, my name is Hawk Nightwing, the most unapologetic Defender G5 you'll ever meet. And we finally have another Naruto Season 2 episode! Looks like Hasbro's back to bi-weekly releases judging by the schedule, and you know what? I can roll with that. I just wish you said you were gonna do that, Hasbro, you idiotic blue square of a logo, getting me up at 8 AM every week for nothing! But anyway, here we are at the real episode 10, and fresh off the greatness of the first special, we have something that is very bizarre, to say the least. This week we got what is essentially a Power Ponies-esque premise, but instead of superheroes, it's medieval times. Sound absolutely bonkers? It certainly is. But enough beating around the bush. It's time to unpack this episode and see if it's actually good, or if it's just a middle-of-the-road affair. This is my review of Naruto Season 2 Episode 10, Buried in a Good Book. So the premise is essentially very straightforward. Misty comes to the Bright House in order to draw off a new spell she's learned. Unfortunately, it ends up sucking them all into the magical book from episode 5. They end up in a magical land of quest and adventure called Questopia, where they're greeted by what I assume is a Breezy, who's just so done with their job. She tells them they must complete a series of quests, ending them with having to defeat Xantor the Furious. I made sure to say it the way she said it. They complete their trials using the power of their teamwork, but the final confrontation doesn't go quite as expected. Instead of ending with an explosive showdown, Misty instead talks to Xantor and offers him her friendship. Their quest is complete, and the episode ends with them being returned home. So, what do I think of this episode? Well, this was certainly one where the score did not immediately come to me. I gave it some thought, and yeah, I like this episode. It's not an all-time high, but it's something I nonetheless had a ton of fun with. First of all, the premise. It's like just the premise of Power Ponies and mixed in with Dungeons and Dragons from SpongeBob, and voila! I never thought an episode parodying Fairy Tail Quest was something I needed, but heck, I'll take it. The quests themselves are very creative. You essentially got a sentient gingerbread house, a dragon race, a temple with trapdoors that Hitch utterly fails at, which feels like something straight out of a Daring Do episode, and finally, Xantor himself. What I like most about this part is that the episode completely flips the adventure serial formula on its head, by revealing he's not your typical final boss to defeat. He's instead just a sweet cinnamon roll who's been isolated for so many moons. All he wants is friendship, and Misty offers it to him. Once again, the writers know how to utilize Misty exceptionally well post-arc, in which she's now the one offering companionship to others, the same way her friends once did for her. I don't know, I just found that incredibly wholesome, and I would be lying if I said I didn't get the feels from that, as I definitely did. The costuming on everyone once they enter Questopia is pretty on point as well. In particular, I really like Sunny and Misty's costumes the best. Sunny in her witch-style getup, and Misty in her bunny costume? That's so adorable. The beginning, however, I would say is a bit rushed. I mean, first 23 seconds we're already thrust into the main plot. It barely gives Misty's accomplishment time to breathe before we gotta go. That's something I immediately noticed, though the saving grace for me is that everything else is paced perfectly. So, awkward start, but strong middle and end. That's pretty much how I described episode 8, but unlike that episode, there's just so much fun to go around that you can't really call it an average episode. It's pretty action-packed all things considered, there's plenty of hilarious comedy, and the twist at the end elevates it a lot. Dare I say it, it's a solid episode, but it's one I might not remember right off the bat when talking about the season going forward. Still, it's a pretty neat concept to essentially parody the idea of medieval quests, and throw our ponies in for the ringer, on top of a very wholesome ending. Also, the book fairy definitely deserves a raise. She strikes me as the type of employee who's been working the same job for years and is just tired of it. I'm tempted to call this episode another example of G5's world building, but then again, it could also just be a one-off location we never see again, so I'm not counting it just yet. So yeah, a solid episode that takes the idea of medieval fairy tale quests, parodies it to an insane degree, then subverts it at the end with an emotional resolution. It's pretty neat, but not an all-time high. But that's alright. Sometimes just having a solid episode is enough on its own, if it's packed to the brim with such craziness such as this one. But what do you guys think? Did this episode succeed in its epic quest to entertain the audience? Or did it fall just short of achieving glory? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel to be updated on future content. We analysts appear to be a dying breed in the community, as mindless hate videos are all the rage, so your contributions make a huge difference in helping me grow. Until next time, this is Hawk Nightwing signing out. Hoof to heart.